It was a rainy Tuesday afternoon in the middle of downtown. The sky hung heavy, swollen with gray clouds, and the streets glistened with puddles reflecting neon signs from the nearby shops. Inside a bustling diner on the corner of Main and Fifth, the clatter of dishes and low hum of conversation filled the air. But the atmosphere quickly shifted when the front door creaked open and a man stepped in. To support this channel, kindly like and hit the subscribe button for more thrilling content. Let's dive right in. He was clearly homeless. His clothes were worn, boots scuffed beyond repair, and a tattered army jacket clung to his shoulders. His beard was rough, streaked with gray, and his face carried the weight of someone who had seen too much. In his eyes was a look, half defiance, half exhaustion, that made people glance twice and then quickly look away. The hostess approached cautiously. "Sir, can I help you?" The man nodded, his voice low but steady. "Yeah, I need to sit down for a bit. I'll order something soon." The hostess hesitated. She'd seen people come in off the street before, sometimes looking for shelter, sometimes just warmth. But this man, he carried himself differently. His back was straight, shoulders squared like a soldier still standing at attention. Yet, she could see the weariness in his movements. "Of course," she said softly, guiding him to a corner booth. "Take your time." At first, no one paid much attention. The man sat quietly, hands folded on the table, staring down at the scratched surface as if it might reveal some secret. But as the minutes passed, whispers began to ripple through the diner. A couple at the counter exchanged glances. A businessman frowned over his laptop. Even the waitress, a young woman named Claire, seemed uneasy as she poured coffee into his cup. The manager, Tom, noticed. He was a man in his 40s, stocky and pragmatic, someone who believed in running a respectable place. He approached the booth with cautious irritation. "Sir," Tom began, keeping his voice firm, "are you planning on ordering something?" The veteran looked up slowly. His eyes, pale blue, sharp, met Tom's. "Not yet. Just give me a minute." Tom sighed. "This isn't a shelter. You can't just sit here. Customers are starting to complain." The man didn't move. "I fought for this country. I bled for it. The least I should get is a warm place to sit for a while." His words cut through the hum of the diner like a blade. A few people turned their heads. Someone muttered, "He's a vet." Another said, "Still doesn't mean he can just sit here." Tom straightened, frustrated. "I'm sorry, but if you're not ordering, I'm going to have to ask you to leave." The man leaned back, crossing his arms. "Then you'll have to drag me out." The air grew heavy. Claire stopped in the middle of refilling a coffee cup. The businessman at the counter closed his laptop halfway, watching. Even the couple fell silent. Tom frowned. He didn't want a scene, but he also couldn't let a man sit there indefinitely. He was about to call the police when the front door opened again, and a gust of cold air swept in. A stranger walked in. He was tall, well-dressed in a dark overcoat, carrying an umbrella dripping with rainwater. His hair was neat, his shoes polished, and his presence immediately drew attention. He looked like someone who didn't usually step into a small diner like this. The stranger paused, scanning the room. His eyes fell on the homeless veteran in the corner, and something shifted in his expression. Recognition, maybe, or disbelief. "Jack?" the stranger said quietly. The veteran's head snapped up. His guarded demeanor cracked for the first time. "David!" The diner collectively held its breath. The stranger walked slowly toward the booth, his voice carrying through the silence. "Jack Monroe, Sergeant First Class, 3rd Battalion, Afghanistan." Gasps rippled through the room. People exchanged glances, whispering. The veteran's eyes narrowed. "How do you know that?" The stranger pulled out his wallet, flashed something briefly. It was a military ID, old but official. "Because I served with you." The veteran blinked, stunned. His shoulders dropped, and for the first time, he looked less like a defiant squatter and more like a broken man. "David, I thought you didn't make it." The stranger shook his head. "I made it, barely. But what happened to you, Jack?" Jack's voice trembled as he spoke, and suddenly the diner became something else entirely. It wasn't a restaurant anymore. It was a stage, and every soul inside was an audience. When I came back, Jack began, staring down at his scarred hands. Things weren't the same. Couldn't sleep, couldn't keep a job. The noise, the memories. It was like the war followed me home. My wife tried to help, but she left, said I wasn't the same man. And she was right. I wasn't. His words hung heavy in the air. Claire wiped her eyes with her apron, trying not to cry. Even Tom, the manager, looked uncomfortable now. I lost everything, Jack continued. The house, the family, and after a while I stopped trying. I just drifted. Been drifting ever since. The stranger, David, clenched his jaw, his eyes glistening. You saved my life, Jack. You pulled me out when that IED hit our convoy. I wouldn't be standing here if it weren't for you. The diner was silent, the weight of his words pressing on everyone. David turned to the manager. This man isn't just some vagrant. He's a hero. He deserves better than being thrown out of a diner. Tom stammered, unsure of what to say. The businessman at the counter stood up and walked over. I'll pay for his meal, whatever he wants. The couple nodded. Us too. One by one, the customers began to speak up, their earlier discomfort melting into guilt and compassion. Claire placed a gentle hand on Jack's shoulder. What would you like to eat? She asked softly. Jack's voice cracked. Just a hot meal. Something warm. Food arrived, pancakes, eggs, bacon, coffee refilled again and again. Jack ate slowly at first, almost as if afraid it might be taken away. But then hunger overtook him, and he ate like a man starved for more than just food. Starved for dignity, for humanity. David sat across from him, telling stories from their service days, reminding Jack of who he once was. Slowly, a smile crept onto Jack's face, small and fragile but real. By the time the rain stopped outside, the diner was different. The people were different, and so was Jack. When Jack finished, David leaned forward. You're coming with me. I've got connections, programs for veterans. I can get you help, place to stay, work if you want it. Tears welled in Jack's eyes. For the first time in years, he saw a glimpse of something he thought was gone forever. Hope. The diner erupted in applause. Strangers who had once looked at him with suspicion now looked at him with respect, even admiration. Jack stood slowly, his legs trembling, and saluted David. Guess you pulled me out this time. David clasped his shoulder. We saved each other, Jack. Always. Word of what happened spread beyond the diner. A local news crew picked up the story. Soon, Jack became a symbol, not of homelessness, but of resilience, of the hidden struggles veterans face every day. And in the weeks that followed, as Jack rebuilt his life with David's help, he carried one truth in his heart. Sometimes, the smallest acts of kindness, the refusal to look away, the choice to care, can change everything. Thanks for watching.